All right. Hey, Alfredo Hernandez Dev. Hi. Do drop a note in the chat if you're around. Also, if you're willing, just let me know where you are. Where in the world are you? Can you hear me? Is the setup okay? It's been a while. I've been gone for a couple of months here. I'll explain. Not exactly gone. Um, so all this stuff I've been doing on quality coding. Initially, it was a blog, and then it became YouTube videos, and then it became a side gig doing teaching. Oh, well, speaking, and then it became Alfredo from Mexico. Awesome. Glad to have you. Um, Became speaking, and then it became side gigs, um, and then it became training, and then it became coaching, but all as a side gig. Um, uh, and so it was refreshing for me. Like it wasn't my day job. I'd code all day uh, at whatever company, and then I would do this, and it would be awesome. Hi, Codebender. Um, Codebender asks, "Do you have a diversity discount for your book?" And the short answer is no. The longer answer is ping me, right? So there's nothing like set up for that. Like there's no form or anything. Ping me directly. Send me a direct message on Twitter at QCoding and tell me about yourself and how I can help you. And Codebender, if you're willing, you can share where in the world you are. That would be fun. Um, so I've been so all this stuff I've been doing around. Great, yeah, do ping me. All this stuff I've been doing around, well, TDD for iOS specifically. Does quality coding predate that? No, it doesn't. I think it started on iOS. Um, has been on the side. It's been fun. It's been a hobby. But now I am doing it, uh, doing this stuff full time at a paid, as a full time employee at Industrial Logic. So, hello, Heck J from an overly warm Seattle. So I hear. Like, I hear it's not good. Not good. Codebender from Ghana. Thank you. Awesome. That's exciting. What time is it? I'm trying to think. Uh, See, I'm a very northern hemisphere person. I apologize, but Africa bulges out. It's got to be somewhat aligned with Europe, so not bad, right? Not It's not late for you. Um, so anyway, I'm now working. Yeah, 6 p.m. Awesome. Um, so I'm now doing this sort of stuff full time. And so it's changed from, oh, super rainy. Oh, we're jealous over here I'm in California and there's a drought again. So here we go. So I'm now at Industrial Logic and uh, doing this coaching, and it's no longer a side thing. It's my main thing. And so to rest, I've been doing more video games. So I apologize. Let's get into coding. Like I'm gonna get not sure why you're oh, sorry about the rain. I gotcha. Let's get into coding because my goal with these Twitch streams, which I've been away from, has been to do stuff in a short amount of time because we all have better things to do. Or, well, maybe you don't. Maybe this is the better thing you do, in which case, welcome. But I want to like do an hour of stuff, keep it snappy. Hey, Ani, good to have you again. Let me set some context just as a reminder of what I am doing, because it's been a while and I need to refresh my memory too. I have a survey. In the survey, I asked a free form, like 3 free form questions about iOS unit testing. I then manually analyzed those free-form answers into keywords. And I could say, okay, so this thing here, I'm going to... Oh, it says Swift UI. Damn it. I should put that in too. I may have to go and make sure... Now there's Swift UI. Okay, I just need to... I'm just missing it here. Okay, so there's some errors in my keyword analysis. But I broke it down into keywords. Same thing for like what desires do you have? Desires 1, 2, 3, 4. I may have to look through and make sure I didn't miss any other Swift UI stuff. And so let's look at the code. The code, so these are comma separated values. So where we were last time is I'm taking, as you can see, I'm extracting problems from columns 3 through 6. I'm extracting desires from columns 8 through 11, and taking that, getting rid of anything that's empty, because let's see here, right? Not everything is filled up. There are empty ones. I want to ignore those, and then mapping those into strings, into an array of strings. And that is where we have been. So let's continue. I actually was going to, I thought yesterday, to prepare for this, the last set of things was not desires. It was, what would be like a killer feature if I could put out some training content as a video course. So I have killer 1, 2, and 3. There's no 4. That's interesting. I guess I didn't need one. So the easy thing to do would be to say, well, let's just do this and then get the columns right? And jam it in and sort of run it and see if it works. That's the non-TDD way. By the way, do comment, stop me, ask questions about what you see, and that's right. That's the whole reason I'm doing this live instead of as just a recorded thing. Also, it's kind of fun. So I've got problems, I've got desires. The easy thing would be to say, well, let's extract the killer features. Last time I thought that about the desires. Like I thought, well, I'm just going to jam this in, blah, blah, blah. Like I had a single test against it and let's just do it. And it blew up. It just completely blew up. And it reminded me to practice what I preach, move in small steps. So we're going to begin by running all tests. Oh, I was going to say, yesterday I thought, I'll just do the killer features. You don't need to watch me do that again. I'll just do it. But then I realized as I started to do it, I'm like, no, there are things I need to show. Specifically, let's talk about code smells for a bit. Code smells are indications that something may be wrong with the code, may be wrong with the design of the code. By design, I mean the actual code. And it doesn't mean that there is something wrong, but it means you ought to follow that smell and see, give it a sniff and check. So what do you see? Like, what's staring you in the face? Right here is duplicated code, which is a code smell. And what do we do with duplicated code? We want to extract. We want to extract it. We want to say, let's not have this duplicated. But we can't just extract this, because this and this are not quite the same. So back to refactoring. One of the principles of refactoring is to take things that are similar and make them the same. I'll show you what I mean. So what do we do? Also, that refactoring, I really lean on automated refactoring as much as possible. And there's more automated refactoring in AppCode than there is in Xcode. So what I'm going to do here is extract a variable, range. AppCode suggests a name. Like I love being lazy. Let's extract this. I'll do it up here as well. You got to have tests for refactoring. If you don't have tests and you want to refactor the code, there are two things to do. One is lean on automated refactoring, which in Xcode isn't much. The other is, well, okay, so I don't have an automated test. Then you need to go through and manually check. Like, okay, I made a change. Let me just make sure I didn't break anything. Do a sanity check. Okay, so I extracted these two variables. And now you can see, now we have identical code, right? That return statement. Oh, by the way, that's a nice thing that it did. I didn't notice. Now that in Swift, you don't need a return statement for a single line, which this is. It's broken across 3 lines, but it's one statement. And so it doesn't have a return statement there anymore. But if I extract this variable, it adds a return statement. Very nice. I'm not sure if Xcode does or not. You can try it and see. So I've done a couple extractions. I'm going to run tests. Good. And now I'm going to commit. So the other thing I've been preaching is the value of micro commits. And I am using Arlo's Git notation to classify my commits according to the risk of the change. So in this case, I have made a change. They were both automated, so I'm not sure if Arlo has a different thing for that, but I'm going to say this is a test-supported procedural refactoring, because I ran tests and they still ran. So I'm going to say extract variable like that. Okay. Now we're ready to extract a method. And this is what I started to do yesterday, and I thought, this may be super basic, but we do the basics over and over. There's a reason we do code katas. I hope you don't mind my rambling. That's part of the fun here of doing it this way. The reason we do code katas or exercises is to get better at the basics, at the fundamentals. It's like in sports, if you achieve a certain level of proficiency in sports, whatever sport you like, I'm not a big sports person, but I imagine, for example, basketball. They don't stop practicing dribbling and passing because it's like, well, now we're professionals. We got it. No, you got to keep it up. Or music. Professional musicians don't stop practicing because they're like, yeah, I know this. No, they gotta keep it up. So I encourage you to do code katas. So let's see here. I'm going to extract a method. A clear, Xcode has extract method also, but it does not let you change the parameters and say, you know what? I know we're going to pass in the column and we don't need to identify it. Range is kind of nice, I think, to leave as is and give you a preview of what it looks like to check it out. There we go. Kind of lined it up funny. Let me give it a quick reformat. So that there and that, I should be able to just copy and paste right over that and have the same thing. Great. So this is an extract method. What did I call it? Map? That's a terrible name. I didn't even look at the name. Let me rename that. Extract extract problems, desires. What do I call this? Problems, desires, and killer features. I'm extracting the keywords. Another thing about naming, actually not another thing, one thing about naming is that it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a progression of improvement. And so map is not a great name, but I made it a little better like that. Let me run tests again. And that is good to go. Any questions? Do stop me if there are any questions. All right, so now, it's kind of wide. I don't like it going past the my guideline here. So let me actually lay it out just a little differently. I think in a production environment, I would rely on Swift format to check things and SwiftLint to check other things. But I don't have those in place, and that's fine. This should be fine. I'm going to just amend the last commit because it wasn't, that's not a big change there. All right. Now, unfortunately, AppCode, neither Xcode nor AppCode have an inline refactoring yet. I say yet because I keep voting it up in AppCode. So what we do is we copy and paste. Copy and paste, whoop. And then get rid of the old one. And it is suggesting, you notice how it grayed out the return there, saying, you know, you don't really need that anymore. It's okay, I'll remove it. Let me run. Okay, so that's inline variable. All right. Now, yay, we extracted a nice helper. And now we have a different code smell. So before we started with duplicated code, now I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, these functions, extract problems and extract desires, which used to be more interesting, are now just lazy. This is is it lazy function? I think that's the name of the code smell. It's not doing enough to justify its existence. So I want to inline the function. I'm going to do this by copying, going up here, and pasting, and I'm not going to delete the other one yet. I'm just going to paste it in. Okay, great. And now I can get rid of, that's not the one. Yeah, that is the one. No usages found. Super easy to see usages in AppCode. I just command click, and it says it doesn't say anything. I can then delete it. Sometimes it gets it wrong, right? Sometimes our tools get funky and analyze things wrong. This happens, I think I see it more when there's mixed Swift and Objective-C code. It does a good job of analyzing Objective-C. In fact, AppCode is just amazing for Objective-C. But sometimes things get lost. And that's why I run the tests again. Excuse me for a moment. I need to cough, and I don't want to blow out your ears. All right. So that's why I run tests even after, like, I mean, I guess I didn't need to run tests. I could have just done a build there. Because if something was depending on it, the build would fail. So I just did an inline of extract problems, right? Yeah. Let's do the same thing again. So here are the steps. I'm going to find this. This is lazy. I'm going to select the range, copy, go to the caller or callers, and paste, and run tests to make sure I didn't blow anything up. Check that there are no usages, delete, and build. And it's good. So that is what I was going to clean up. Actually, no, I was going to go ahead and do the killer features. And I started doing that stuff I just did. And I thought, no, that's really important to show people. These are the small steps. These it's following code smells. And you saw that I solved one code smell, and that created a new one. So you need to sort of keep sniffing. Your sniffer will get better the more you practice it. The code is now looking nice. We have extract weight, which we haven't talked about in this session. And then problems equals extract keywords from 3 to 6 and desires. So I think it's time to get those killer features in. Let's shift over to the tests code. So all that was pure refactoring, not TDD, but it's pure refactoring I could do because I've been doing TDD. Here are the tests. You can see gathered desires when there are no desires should yield an empty array. There's one desire and there's 4 desires. Those seem like good tests to me. And Am I bold enough now to do 3? I am not. Let's move in small steps. I was wondering, am I bold enough to just like slap down some tests, see all 3 tests fail, and then slap in some code? And the last time I did that, it was the test that blew up because the test code has helpers around. It's not reading like comma separated values from a file. It's creating it. So here's my new test. Gather killer features when there are no features. Maybe, yeah, I'll just say killer features. And you see it, here's the helper that I had to make last time to say, let's pass in a set of new things. Now, I kind of want to go like this, and we have only 1, 2, 3, up to 3 killer features. So that's what I want. Now this doesn't build. Let's make it build. Let me comment that out and add a new thing to our helper. Let's spread this out. Okay, that doesn't do anything with the features yet, but at least the red squiggly showing that it didn't compile went away. And this, so I bring this in. So this is test-driven development. If you haven't seen it, I write the test the way I want it to be, and to call the things that don't exist yet. So let's make it exist. Say, let's create a property. It doesn't infer the type, unfortunately. I wish it did. And this doesn't build yet because killer features doesn't have a definition. So let me do this. Now, here's pop quiz. Do I just say empty string? No, because that will pass the test. And I want to see the test fail. So I'll just say foo, or let me say hello Twitch. And now I expect this to fail. Good. And it failed in the way I want it to fail. The red squigglies are not going away right away for some reason. That happens. It'll hopefully catch up eventually, but I'm not worried about it. So now to get it to pass, I go like this. Good. And now I have added, I've moved my code forward by defining a new property, the killer features, that has nothing in it. And that is enough. This is a feature with less than 8 lines of change. So I'm going to give it a F. If it had more than 8 lines of change, then you mark it with F bang bang, where the double exclamation points are like, this is big, so the risk is bigger. Add empty killer features. All right, next test. I wish you'd make this go away, AppCode. I'm not going to worry about it. It's a little annoying. Okay, so now there's killer features when there's no features. Now I want one feature. Let me copy and paste this. Bring it down here. The names, maybe you could simplify the names even further by saying like it gathers one feature or it collects one feature. I've become a little better about naming, or a little less rigid about my style here. So let's see, this becomes that, except we want F1. Check my code here. All right, so here's the test, is that when we have one feature called F1, then I expect the resulting property, which is an array of strings, to have that in there. This I expect to fail. I expect it to fail gracefully in the way I want. And now let's get it to pass. The first thing we need to do is make sure about our columns. I think it's free form features and like that. This is a change to a test helper. So I'm going to comment out my test real fast to make sure that all the other tests still pass. Okay, so now I expect it to fail again. We have an IDE error because I'm using a beta. I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so we're back to failing the way we want. Hopefully the helper is working the way we want. And now I'm going to say, let's see if we can get this. Let's see if I can, let me just go for it here and see if this passes. It does. Great. It's not an R, it's a feature. And now we are down to one more. I'm going to duplicate that code, and there are up to 3 features, F2 and F3. So I expect this to be like that. I expect this to fail. When if we were coding together, like in an ensemble where you were coding along with me, I would ask you, or I would ask the whole group to call the shot. Like, what do you expect the test to do? This is something important I've learned from Jitter Ted, who does great teaching for non-iOS folks around things like test-driven development. And he even has a game. I should put that game in there. I have to go look for it. He's got a TDD game. It's great, like a board game. Jitter Ted. Let me do a quick search here. I'm not sure where the actual board game is. Darn it. I'll have to share that later in Twitch. I mean, on Twitter. All right, so I expect this to fail. That's where we were. It fails in the way we want. Yay. Passing is now easy. Say 13, 14, 15, 3 columns. Great. All right. This is good stuff. So now this is a single entry. I'm representing a single entry that's one of these rows. So now I should be able to collect multiple entries and have some fun with it. Whoops. Come back here. All right. But that might be something to continue for another day. I'm not sure. I still have 20 minutes. Clear that. Let's start. Let's start. But again, if you have any questions or comments about why I'm doing something and the way I'm doing it, why I'm using AppCode, or how I'm using Swift, or ways I could improve my code, put them in the chat. Weighted entry. Do I have, let's see where this is used. Find usages. All right, don't care about the tests. Here's where it's used. That's it. All I'm doing is creating it. I think split entries is not using it yet. I've just been creating this one thing to express the row, but it's not used. Okay. So I think the next step is to gather the information from the survey into an array of weighted entries. By the way, weighted entries, because I extract a weight from the person's interest. That's this one. How interested are you? And I say, give me a 1 to 5. Folks are really interested. I'm going to score your answers higher. Let's see. Split entries. Let me go back also to this. This is a command line app. All right, Alberto, thank you for your question. I'm going to get to it in a second. This is a command line app, so you can't write unit tests against the actual command line code. That's why I have Survey and Survey Core. Survey Core is a framework, and I can write tests against it. The idea is to move as much out of the main and into other stuff. Alberto, by the way, I met you in Spain in 2014 at NS Spain. Hey, good to reconnect, and I have good memories of my time in Spain. And so you are asking, or Alberto says, well, I've been thinking for a while about using AppCode, but not sure about the advantages comparing with Xcode. If you have a minute talking about the pros and cons, it'd be great. All right, let's do that. And that'll take the rest of our time. So no more coding, except maybe to show some differences. So I've been using AppCode for, I don't know, like 8 years or so, something like that. Uh, Ever since I made a YouTube, one of my very early um, YouTube videos doing TDD and Objective-C and using model view controller and all that stuff. And then somebody created their own response YouTube saying, here's how to do John's exercise in AppCode. And I was like, whoa, my mind was blown. The main thing, okay, so there, what do I get out of using Xcode over AppCode? First, there is a price to pay in that because you're so used to Xcode, learning something new is going to feel weird and awkward. You have to recognize that and be willing to give it a try for more than an hour, more than a day. When I try a new tool, I usually try to give it a week of like saying to myself, I'm going to do my best to use the new tool and fall back on the old tool only when I'm like super stuck. But otherwise, I'm going to try so that I can learn and get over that barrier of discomfort because it is different. You see, obviously, all the layout is different. If you want to try it, the AppCode EAP, which is their beta. If you go to AppCode EAP download, that's not, is that where it is? That's not where it is. Is that where it is? Let me just make sure it's getting the right thing here. No, that's the actual thing. Where? Maybe it's in this one. Available for download. There it is. Let me grab this link and put it in here. And the reason I'm doing this is AppCode is, you have to pay for it. It's not free. And so, yeah, wow, that is some crazy link there. Probably doesn't need all that. What I just put in the chat there, go to it, see if you can get it. And the reason I'm giving this to you is because it's a beta version. It's free. And it will stop working when they come out with the full release. So it's got it's essentially a time bomb sort of thing in there. It's not a time bomb exactly. It's whenever they're done with the new version of it, they'll set the beta will stop working. But this means that without even using the free trial, which is how you start, I forget how much time they give you. I think maybe a whole month of using it. You can give it a try. Now, here's the most important tip about using AppCode. It does require Xcode. That's not the most important tip. The most important tip is that the default memory it uses is not big enough for most projects. Most projects, even a simple project like this one, is using a fair bit of memory. If you go to, a real production code and you try AppCode out of the gate and you get the spinny beach ball and you'd be like, this thing sucks, and you throw it away. All you need to do is give it more memory. And you do that by going to Help, Edit Custom VM Options. They've improved it lately to say it actually prompts you and it suggests, would you like more memory? But this is the thing. Go here, into help. I'll put it in the chat. Help, edit custom VM options. And this is how much memory I'm using right now. You do this, it makes a world of difference. I keep forgetting that people haven't done this, and I kind of maybe I ought to suggest to JetBrains, the makers of the tool, that they bump it by default, but it takes a fair bit of memory. You do that, you'll see the beach ball go away. It's great. Now, the other thing you need to know before you try using AppCode is that schemes are different. In Xcode, well, let me integrate a terminal. One of the many features that I love. In Xcode, right, you've got your schemes, and then you can edit those. Like if I go to survey core, I can edit that. Oh, it's interesting. It doesn't even have the tests because I haven't been using Xcode. I could add that like that, and now I'd be able to use Xcode to run the tests. And that's how you're used to seeing things, right? Is this thing, the scheme is in charge of defining what aspect of this you're building, how to, if it can be run, how to run it, how to test it, and so forth. Not so in AppCode. In AppCode, everything is inside of configurations. And if you go to the configurations, so there, it's picked up the schemes that are out there, but it won't run the tests. To run tests, you have to create a new configuration, and you can select what thing do you want, and select XE test. Say I want a new configuration, and when you do that, it'll probably pick up your test target automatically. Like you see, it just went out there and found what it could, and that's good. And that's exactly what I have in my all tests scheme. And then instead of saying build and run tests, I run the scheme. So that's different from, for example, running the command line app itself. This is sort of the main shift in thinking that you have to do if you want to try to use AppCode. First, increase your memory. Second, understand that schemes are different from configurations and how they're different. And there's a whole set of stuff. Let me see if I can find around AppCode getting started. There's a useful, here it is. Quick start guide. This is worth looking through. So this has probably what I described and a bunch of other stuff. So let me put that also in the chat. All right. And then give it a try. Give it a week, like I said. Explore the refactorings, and you may say, well, it doesn't seem to have a whole lot of refactorings, especially if you compare it to Xcode, which pretends to have more. So if I come here, it's always like refactoring is hidden in Xcode. But let's look at all these. Yeah, well, all these at the bottom, AppCode picks those up also. So it can do I think it can do all of those things. I could be wrong, but I've never felt a need like it suggests like, oh, you need switch cases, and so forth. So it picks those up. It has more, but it also has intentions, where you say option enter on a thing. So it's a contextual thing to say, what would you like to do with this code? And for example, I could say, I want explicit typing. What you see here is the implicit type, but it's shown. I love that. It's shown, but I can say, make it explicit. So it's actually in the code. So you see the difference there. That's now in the code. That's not. That grayed out thing is not actually there, but it's shown as a hint. So that should get you started, Alberto. Good luck with that. Feel free to ping me on Twitter if you've got questions about like, how do you use this thing or so forth. But those are the big things. I hope that helps. And with 5 minutes left, unless there are other questions, I'm going to call it a day and get on with the rest of my day. I am going to go to the theater, that is the cinema, to watch a movie with my wife on a date. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I know folks in different countries, your situation, everyone is in a different situation. I encourage you to get your vaccinations as soon as you can. It changes everything. I feel so much safer. All right. I think that's it. Thanks for coming. Thanks for hanging out. We've got my website, me on what else am I showing there? Twitter. I've got my Facebook. You are very welcome, Alberto. I hope I get back out to NS Spain one of these years. Got my YouTube, and I am. If you want, if you're interested in my coaching services, you'll have to contact Industrial Logic. Actually, you can contact me on my blog. That's fine. At some point, probably this fall, this autumn, I will be doing, through Industrial Logic, I will be doing an open enrollment TDD class. What that means is that most of the time I'm helping like companies, teams, and so I go into a team and I help them. And so especially I want to help them in their code. So that's not something, right, that people can look at. But there are lots of folks. I've gotten requests over the years from like one person or two people who be like, can you give us training? I'm like, no, I can't. But if I have an open training that we do online, thanks to the wonders of shifting around the pandemic, that should be coming this fall. So look for that. And until then, be safe, be well. Maybe I'll do this next week. We'll see. Thanks for coming.